All right, for this section here, we're going to take a tiny detour and talk about bullet lists in Photoshop, because you really can't do a true bullet list in Photoshop without some, magic fine tuning here. This is where InDesign would have been a much better choice for layout because of the way InDesign handles text and can do things like that. But I would prefer the power of Photoshop for everything else, so I'm willing to work with this bullet list. So what we're going to do is, if we wanted to just straight up make a bullet list, I'll click in there and hold on the Alt key and hit the number 8. So Alt 8 gives me that traditional bullet point character. Okay, so I could come in here, Command C to copy, and then just click and paste, Command V to paste in front of each line, which is fine. It's not ideal way to work. And the other thing I notice here too is I auto corrected this when I type this up. So let's change this to Rails. It's Rails to Trails. Okay, that's where we converted a bunch of train tracks into trails for people. So anyway, so we got our bullet lists in, which is fine, but I mean, it's not that compelling yet. So what I want to show you is this thing called Font Awesome. So go ahead and Google Font Awesome, and it's going to be the top result up here. And then it's got this big download button right here in the middle. We'll click on that, and they're going to try and take you to Fort Awesome, which is a really cool service you can check out later, but it is a subscription-based service, so we don't really care about that right now. No thanks. We just want to download Font Awesome. So once that's done downloading, you're going to get a zipped folder, and inside that is the font we want to use to install. So I'll go ahead and unzip this folder here in my downloads. And when it opens up, we're just looking for the font. So we'll click on the fonts folder and then install this TTF file, this TrueType font, and then you should be good to go. You have the font installed. Next, we want to take a look at the actual Font Awesome cheat sheet. So just Google Font Awesome cheat sheet, and you should find this. And this is a reference of all the glyphs or the characters within that font. So what I'm looking for is something with a little more style. So I'm just going to grab this double right angle bracket. I'll hit Command C to copy that glyph I mean. I will jump over to Photoshop and I will highlight this bullet character and hit Command V to paste. Now, what happened here? We see this little box with an X through it. Well, Photoshop doesn't know how to display this, so it tries to, we were using Oswald, but it just defaults to Myriad Pro trying to help us out because it doesn't have that glyph character in the library. It doesn't know what to do with it. But once you've installed Font Awesome, we can just search for Font Awesome up here, click on that, and now it displays that image just like we wanted to. And the reason why I had you pull up the cheat sheet is you can see there are a lot more icons we could use, such as this mountain one I just copied. So all downhill, this is actually let me just let's see a better way to work. Well, we'll just click right here and do Font Awesome again. We'll click on that. This is actually a graph, but you know what? It's pretty close. It could work for an all downhill situation. So what I would do if I was going to apply more of these, I'll just highlight that, Command C to copy, and then paste these in. And then if I wanted to bring in, say, a unique one for each one, I'm just going to grab any of them real quick for the sake of the demo. Now that this is already Font Awesome, I can Command Paste, and it'll keep that font for it. So anyway, so that's our bullet characters. Now the next part of this is actually styling our list in a way where it works if we had more content. So what I mean by that, let's say we wanted this to be on 2 lines of text. Well, if I click in here and hit return, it's going to change the whole paragraph. Let's change this leading here. It's going to bump this down, but I want this text to stay up top right next to it. So I'm going to click once here, hit delete. Now I'm going to hit shift return. And now what I can do is change my leading for this line to get it how I want. Let's tighten that up just a little bit more here. So all I'm really worried about now is how these first 2 lines of text work. And again, I hit shift return, not just regular return. Now I'll highlight all of these. I'm going to jump over to my paragraph tab. And now I'm going to add space between each paragraph. So as I scrub this down, you'll notice that the leading stays the same, but the paragraphs jump. So it doesn't see this as a paragraph. It sees it as 2 lines of text since I hit that force break, that force return by holding shift return. Okay, and now I can space these out. So it just looks better. Now the next thing we need to address is I don't like how this text jumps underneath the bullet character. I want it to fall between the next line. So I hit Command A. And I'm going to scrub, let's see, we're going to play with this just a little bit here. I'm going to scrub this top line negative until it falls in line with the text below it. So that's a little bit better here. I'll go ahead and hit return, and that is how I would create my bullet list. Now you'll notice one other thing is, depending on where your text falls with other text below it, let's say we're not using a bullet list in the next line, we can control where it falls by scrubbing this other text indent line up here. So you can really refine and tweak this to your liking, but it's just the workaround that I've learned how to do in Photoshop, and hopefully there's got to be a better way, but that's the workaround I use for right now. So there we go. In the next lesson, we're going to go ahead and refine our ad, get it finalized here, and get it to print.